The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to the #1 real estate podcast network and the Icons of Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Kat Timpson. With me today is Rebecca Sekulich. Rebecca is a dynamic force in LA real estate. She's known for her vibrant spirit, meticulous attention to detail, and unrivaled dedication to her clients. Specializing in residential, luxury, and investment properties, Rebecca combines her extensive market insight and hands-on experience to deliver an elevated, highly personalized real estate experience that transforms her clients' dreams into reality. Welcome, Rebecca, and thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Kat. So nice to meet you.
It is so nice to have you. I have to tell everybody who's listening and watching, Rebecca and I had a pre-call, and she has so much great energy. I'm super excited for this interview, so thank you for being here. Rebecca, the most important thing I would like to make sure I get to is, what is your real estate story? How do you even get into this crazy business?
Oh my gosh, do we have all day or all night? I'll give you the Cliff Notes version.
Okay, good.
So, born and raised in Michigan. I went to Michigan State. I studied geography and cartography. So my background is in map design. I also went to art school at the Center for Creative Studies, studied art. And when I was at Michigan State, I was one of the first people to make a feature 35 millimeter film on Michigan State's campus. Wow. Long story short, after 4 years of me being the producer with my directing partner and one of my best friends, that film went on to get picked up for distribution by Discovery Education. And pretty much I was teaching in Michigan, and it plummeted me out to California. And I got out here, I took a sabbatical from teaching. I got out here, and within 3 weeks of me getting here, got offered a job making 3 times what I was making teaching. And I thought that I was rich. And I was like, I'm never going home. So I went back for my kids' graduation, and I was just going to stay the summer in California and go back to Michigan. And guess what happened? I pretty much never left. And so I've been here. It's going to be my 26th year coming up in March. I turned 26 in California. So that's how I got to Los Angeles. And so working in an educational production company, and I went on and I was the producer of a feature film with somebody super famous, a household name that everybody knows. And that person was a musician, and one of their albums went like triple gold platinum, and they got 130 city world tour and millions of dollars, and sort of left my business partner and I with this film we were working on for 2 years. And so I had 2 years of no paycheck, and the director of this film said, you know what? I need a job. I needed to go to work to make some money. And so she basically said, look, I have these friends. They're looking for somebody. They're in real estate. And I was like, no, I don't want to be in real estate. No. And she's like, well, please meet with them. They're lovely people. So I sat down with them. I met with them. They offered me a job of something that I did not want to do, not being an agent, but they wanted me to help with like marketing and advertising and designing something for them. And it was just not what I wanted to do. So I kindly declined, but they were lovely people. We hugged it out, and I left that meeting. And 3 days later, they called me back, and honest to goodness, if they're listening to this right now, or somebody is, they said to me, I don't know what it is about you, but we literally fell in love with you when you walked in the door, and what we wanted you to do and what we think that you could do. And we want you to come and help us build real estate offices. So what meshed for me is building a real estate office is just like making a movie. So I came from the film production world. And so it's like the same thing with different cast members or different players. Yep. So I became the director of operations for a major real estate brokerage, which everybody knows in the country. And I worked there for 17 years. And I ended up building and contributing to 19 offices in the commercial construction field.
Wow.
And so during that whole entire time of doing that, I was able to figure out something for them. I'm all about saving money. I love budgeting, and that's what filmmaking is all about, is how we can work things out for the numbers. And what ended up happening was I looked at these budgets for the construction to build these offices and was like, wait a second, why is this costing, let's just say $1 million? And I was analyzing it in my young, tender age of, 25, actually I was like 29 years old. And I realized that they were paying the contractor like a 40 to 60% markup. And I
Mm.
said, I could do this for a lot cheaper. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, I can just hire all the subs myself. You can still have the general, but what if I got a great tile guy. I've got a great floor person. I've got a great cabinet installer. Well, how do you know all these people? That's a very long story, but I was able to do that. And on every project, I was saving the owners, and they were independently owned franchises. I was saving them hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on every build. So word got out really fast, and I started mentoring on a Beverly Hills office. And pretty soon, within a matter of time, I had 7 offices going at the same time. And
Wow.
so I was putting all the infrastructure together. I was hiring the whole entire team. We were working with the contractor, the space planner, the architect. And literally, I was just thrown into this, and it was me and like 100 men, working on these projects. And I was
Yes.
negotiating deals with things like furniture and carpeting and tile and linoleum and counters, and I was just negotiating. Same thing we do to make films. Like
Yeah.
we like, go to Home Depot and get a plant, and if it's not the right plant, you return it or whatever. And it was a wonderful way. So I got into that. I ended up doing 19 offices. And in that mix, the people I was working for kept saying to me, you're such a people person. You're so lovely. People love talking to you. Every time they come in, they don't want you to leave. You should get your license. And I never wanted to get my license. So it happened haphazardly because they came to me and said, look, we are going to open a real estate school. It was a way to recruit agents into the office, and we would like you to help run the real estate school. And if you're going to do that and you're working for us, we would like you to get
Gotta
your
have a
license.
license.
Gotta have that license. So I went and, I'm going to say something I don't say very often, but I didn't want to. I was hesitant. The people paid for me to go to class. The books were sent to me. I never opened them. I didn't study. I didn't do anything. And I thought that I was like better than everybody else. And I went to take that test, and guess what happened?
I'm thinking fail.
Yeah, I
Mm.
failed.
Mm.
And Rebecca doesn't fail at anything that she does. I just don't. But I also knew that I didn't try or apply. I didn't study
Mm.
hard enough. I didn't do anything.
Mhm.
So I got serious. 6 weeks later was as soon as I could apply. Studied for 6 weeks straight, passed the exam, right
Flying
away,
colors. Yeah.
flying colors. And I got my license in October of 2007, which now we know, fast forward, that October 2007 was exactly the bottom of the real estate market, when we know everything crashed, and that was the bottom, and it started building up. So 2008, 9, 10 were just awful. So actually the real estate school never happened. Number one, sort of because of the crash.
Sure.
And then I started working in escrow because we were just trying to like make ends meet to keep the
Of course.
companies afloat during this. In the same time, I basically got certified as a short sale specialist. And I took a series of classes, and I was really fascinated by that whole process. And so the short sales were just coming out. So between 2008 and 2010, I was working at escrow, and I was actually on a draw from my bosses. So they were paying me, and the deal was if I closed any deals, I had to pay them back. So I was working very diligently and very hard. Well, then there came this point where everybody was out of money. Everything was folding. The companies were closing. Escrow was closing. And I had to make that decision. And the owners came to me and said, you have 2 choices. You can either go back into film production, which you're really great at, or you can take this leap of faith and, try to be an agent. And I had not really tried. So
Mm.
I decided that, Phoenix rising from the ashes here, that I could literally, if I made an effort and this worked, this is what I would do. So I took a class. Every real
Yeah.
estate company has a class.
Of
And
course.
was full of acronyms. So I took this class. It was $800, and I signed up in January of 2010, took the leap of faith. And within 3 weeks of me taking that class and those folks telling me what to do, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, like sitting, making phone calls, being in the office, talking to people. And at 4:30 on a Friday, a phone call came in to the receptionist, and she yelled, does anybody know anything about short sales? And I was like, I do, and so it all came to me, and literally, I won't go into the details, but literally within 2 hours, that client drove from Beverly Hills to Marina Del Rey into my office. I listed their property. And in 22 days of that Friday, I closed that house. It was $1 million listing plus in Beverly Hills, and the bank gave me a bonus. And in 25 days, I got a paycheck that was more than I had made the entire last year.
Oh
And
my gosh.
my first listing. And so, was it luck of the draw? Had I closed other deals? Yes, but this is my first listing by myself. Was
Sure.
actually I partnered with somebody because that's what you do for the right thing. I had a mentor who was, a
Yeah,
multi
especially when you're a young agent, right?
yeah.
Making sure you get
And
it right.
so, right. And so there was a referral and all that, but it was a fantastic experience. And I was like, wow, I can literally live off this paycheck for the entire year. So that gave me the permission to like breathe and like, I'm onto something. That was fabulous. So that's where my career started. And in
Yeah.
2013, I incorporated my business. And, here we are, almost 15 years later, and I have a wonderful, thriving, successful business. And it's just pretty much gone in directions that I could have never anticipated, expected, or even, prayed to ask for. I have this amazing life, and I just can't say how grateful I am that I was in the right place at the right time. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
And
timing is everything, right? I know, and I went kicking and screaming into the business as well, but you are a natural, clearly. And I love that you are sharing how enthusiastic you are, because one of the reasons I do the podcast and talk to agents is because I want to show other agents and certainly consumers how much goes into being an agent, how much goes into being in the business, in the field. And actually, when you and I were talking before, you were telling me a little bit about your different businesses. Can you actually share that with the audience, how you're not just an agent?
yeah, absolutely. Well, again, these things all happen for a reason. And what was happening, it was about 12, 13 years ago. And we were in this time where I would go over to somebody's house and say somebody, said, hey, my neighbor wants to sell their house. I remember going to this one house and it was kind of a mess. An older person lived there. It had not been, updated. And they asked me, how much is my home worth? Well, your home is worth X based on what the comparables say. We didn't have a lot of Zillows and Redfins back then to
No.
even go through that. So it's all pulling the numbers. But I had this thing like everybody wants things to look better. And I kept saying to myself, who's going to buy this house? I say the same thing when a movie. Who's going to watch this movie? And we're making this movie for a child, or are we making it for an adult, a woman? So I'm like, who's going to live here? And I looked at this house and it was like it was in a PUD, a planned urban development. So like
Okay.
a I don't know what we call them in the Midwest, a subdivision. We don't really have
Oh,
them in
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
California, but a PUD.
Yep.
And I was like, it just needs a little bit of love. If we got rid of all of this owner stuff, and I was, just to put some like jewelry on this beautiful little house and not, spend a little bit of money. So I was able to figure it out. My first project I did, I helped the owner spend $12,000. And for 12 grand, and this was 13 years ago, we put in new flooring, we put in all new fixtures. I painted the interior, the garage door, put like some new handles on, and did a little bit of mild like curb appeal, painted the front door, put some new hardware on, a couple new lights, but all for like $12,000. Well, originally when I was taking that listing, the house was going to be worth about like, I don't know, $200,000. Well, by me helping the owner spend 12 grand, and I didn't have the money back then. I didn't have the money like it's flowing now. I actually paid for it because that owner did not have the money. So what did I do? I put it on 3 credit cards, Home Depot. I bought all the materials, and then I made a deal with my guys, which was like, I'll pay you a chunk to start, and can I pay you the rest when the house closes? And luckily, I had this wonderful group of people, and they're like, yeah, sure, because work is work, and we'll take the money. And they knew because they'd done little projects for me that I was, in integrity and accountable, and I would pay them back.
Right.
So on that property that I originally was going to take the listing at 250. I put 12 grand in and it sold for 375.
Oh man, that's amazing. That's
So I was
amazing.
able, after all the expenses, to net my clients an additional about 125 grand net after all the commissions and everything was paid. So did that woman who was 73 years old, who was moving to Arizona,
Hmm.
That extra 125 grand on, so she walked away with like 275 total after everything. She was able to buy her home cash in Arizona. And I got the
Wow.
referral on it. So
Wow.
it ended up being like a wonderful thing. And like the light bulb just went off.
Yeah.
And I
Gut
don't know what it,
instinct. Gut
yeah.
instinct.
So that I just basically put that on repeat. And it started out with 12,000. And then of course, like the short sales were coming in still. And it's just like a lot of these houses were in disrepair. And I just kept offering this. And now probably 1 out of 5 times the owners did have the money.
Hmm.
And what my niche became was $12,000 wasn't enough money. I'm ending up still now, 10 years later, like the sweet spot is between probably 40 and $70,000.
Hmm.
And the cool part was I've loaned that money personally to people, dozens of times. I just finished my 79th remodel and I'm about to do my 80th. And now I work for a company that will loan money. They will give you $40,000 to any seller, no questions asked, payable at the close of escrow for basically no fee. There's a small fee. And if you use our escrow company, it's free. And they'll give you 75 grand for a very small fee to do anything you want. And most of my clients, what I use it for is to get them out of the house. I help them
Sure.
rent an Airbnb or a short-term rental. I get in and I quickly, in 2 or 3 weeks, I just did a condo in Santa Monica where I was able to spend I didn't spend very much money at all, but we put brand new floors in, all new fixtures. We painted, I redid the kitchen, new kitchen cabinets, new hardware, everything. And I staged it for about 42 grand. And that was payable at the close of escrow. And I netted that seller an additional 250 on the 42 grand.
Wow. I
And
think
what,
the most important thing you keep saying is there's an ROI to it. And if people
yes,
don't realize that, yes, sometimes you have to put money down to make money, but that
yes.
is such a great example of that. It's amazing.
And
Yes.
there's three big keys to that. So one is the believability. So I have a ton of references. And
Yeah,
when I was first doing it, people are like, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, I can. And
I
I have
did.
3 people that are willing to talk to you. If you'd like to talk to them, you can call them up and see your experience. Some people take me up on it, but most people don't. They just have because they can see it. They can see what that house listed for. They can see what it's sold for. They
Yeah.
can see that I represented the buyer or the seller. So they know. But so one is the believability. Two is actually me structuring it out and saying to them, I can do this condo project at 1,600,000. I can do this project in 3 weeks. You can? Yes, I can. And how? Well, I have a great crew of people. I have a team of 15 guys that are attached to me. We've worked on over 50 houses together, the same team. It's like a core of 5, and then I pull in 10 more because I don't have that much work where it's a full-time thing.
Sure.
And it's not like my own construction company, but I have helped them make their own company. And now we're sort of just attached and they will defer to me first before taking other jobs, but I keep them
Sure.
busy. I help them pay their rents and their mortgages and their things. And they're very loyal to me. And I'm able to give my clients a discount. So I go in, I pick out all the materials, I do all the shopping, I do everything. So I act as like project manager and they don't have to do anything. And I just, say, would you kindly trust me? If you'd like to say, I'm happy to have it, but I know a formula and it works. And when we have something that works, I do not deviate. And I
No.
try to keep up with the trends and the time because, nobody's going to buy a $1.6 million condo at the beach in Santa Monica unless it looks amazing. So I have to have like a mass transformation. And that is sometimes not easy to do on a shoestring budget. But
No.
I've been able to do it so many times. And everyone just thinks that I spent, $150,000 on that remodel. And that's not true. So you realize how much the markup is. So the value that I bring is negotiating the deals, getting the products for 40 to 60% off because I have contractor discounts as going in as owner builder. And then I have the team of people that are loyal to me that do not overcharge my clients. They do make money, but they're not charging you a day rate or an hour rate. We're charging for a project. So if they can get that project done in 2 weeks, they're going to get the same amount of money as if they finish in 3. So guess what? They're going to work harder, they're going to work smarter and more focused to get it done so they can move on to the next project. Because the bottom line, it's all about numbers. If they can do 2 or 3 projects a month and not stretch things out, because I feel like a lot of people overcharge and they want to charge you hourly or a daily rate. And they just keep saying, oh, we need more time. We need more time. And then your budget is increased by 15 grand just because you have an extra week worth of labor. And
So
that's not fair to my clients.
No, of course not. I'm actually really curious, if you don't mind, Rebecca, that we sometimes hear that certain items don't need to be done in order to sell a home. Renovating kitchens and bathrooms can be a strike against you if the person coming in doesn't like them and then has to redo them. What have you found is like the most compelling thing that people should concentrate on? Because we have a lot of sellers who are debating whether or not they're going to move all over
Mhm.
the country. And we as agents really want to encourage them to do what they need to do for their life, not to sell for us, to sell for them because they need to move on to the next stage of their life. And what might they consider doing so that they don't feel like they're being told too much?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics because it's the hardest lesson for a seller. The
Mm,
hardest thing that I have to do is meet with a seller and tell them how I'm going to transform their property. Because to them, sometimes it's a strike against them. They've loved their home, they've spent time, the project I just did, the owner had remodeled it 10 years
mm,
prior and spent a whole bunch of money.
of
So he
course.
was thinking there was no way that we could do this for the amount of money that I did it for. And so I said, would you just trust me? What I need to do is design this home for the consumer. It needs to be like a blank slate. And buyers have a real issue. Buyers don't see through color, not in California. I'm from Michigan. You're from New Jersey. You've got beautiful like green behind you. I'm wearing green. But sometimes people don't want to see that. They need to
Mhm.
see blank because they need to visualize their green couch in this room or
Yeah,
their
make it a
coffee table.
canvas.
Correct. So I go with the same palette and we tweak depending on the area. So my palette is always like right now, I'm still a white cabinet person. Not because I want white cabinets. I'm sitting in my own house right now with white cabinets that I put in, but white is what works and a very light neutral countertop. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you why. Because those cabinets, I'll put them in brand new. They're pennies on the dollar. And if they say they don't like them, for 2 grand, I can paint them any color they want. And I can just put that pop of color in the kitchen island. And sometimes I've even representing my own buyer. I don't do it all the time, but they'll say to me, oh man, it looks like a hospital room. Okay, what would you like? Well, I'll give you 2 grand. I'll give you that credit and I will do the paint after we close. And I'll paint it any
Nice.
color you want. Pick a color and I'll show you 15 different examples of other houses I've done this for. And I'll show them this was the kitchen before, this was after. And so I try to do something neutral where all of their stuff will fit in there.
Mhm.
So,
Of
the trends change. It
course.
used to be all about light floors. It was maple like in the 90s, and then maple went bye-bye. And then
Thank
it was
goodness.
all, I know,
Not my
dark.
favorite, not my favorite at all. So I appreciate that it's out.
But we have to sort of keep up with that because now the
Of
people that are
course.
buying, nobody wants to buy a fixer unless they're going to do a full-on gut job remodel and they have a boatload of money to do it. So they want bring your toothbrush. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to give the average consumer based on the location what they're looking for. So for me, the kitchen is the most important. Kids, it'll go kitchens, then bathrooms, and then
Mhm.
curb appeal. And curb appeal is really important and one that does not cost a lot of money because if somebody's like going to Google the house, they'll see it, see beautiful pictures, but they could have been AI, Photoshop, rendered, or whatever. They do a
Absolutely.
drive by and your house isn't magnificent, they're never going to stop the car. So my bumper sticker, there's 45,000 of them, but the first one says you only get one chance to make a first impression. So the
Absolutely.
exterior is super important. So if we have a plain house for a very little amount of money, we can paint the front door. I can add a new front porch light. I can add lights up the steps. I can just paint the bottom of the porch or put. We don't do shutters. I usually remove them. We don't usually change stucco or things like that, but we can add some wood accents or just warm it up. So
Hmm.
like that is one of the most inexpensive things you can do is just refresh, pull out all of the overgrown plants, cut everything down, put some fresh soil, make sure things are, we have some contrast. So I love curb appeal, get them in the house. But once they get in the house, what's the first thing you see? My front door is right back there. You're walking into my dining room. I live in a Craftsman built in 1910. You're walking into the kitchen. The
Right.
kitchen has got to
It's
be,
it's the
it's everything.
heartbeat, right? I mean, everyone knows you're going to be there for the family, for your
Yeah.
parties. That's yeah.
And I evaluate one thing. Are the cabinets wood? If they're wood, they can totally be stripped and they can be stained or they can be painted. If they're
Yes.
for mica or plastic, whatever, I can say, look, I can do your entire kitchen. I can buy all the cabinets, install them for less than $5,000. And their jaw about hits the floor because they've gone to Home Depot and Home Depot's like, it's 11 grand to buy the cabinets and it's another five to get them installed. So they're now
Easy.
at triple. So, and then I show them how I do that and what it takes to get there. And then I buy the countertops, I buy the sink and buy the fixtures. And so that's what they want to see. So when I say to them, I can do your entire kitchen over for less than $7,000, they literally flip out and they're like, what? I bought this $1.6 million condo. There's two types of cabinets. There's like the plain white shaker cabinets that are wood with a, frame around them. And now there's the modern Euro cabinets, which are like slick. They have matte and they have shiny. And so,
That's so in.
yes, it's so in. And that's what we wanted at the condo. We wanted to, modernize things at the
Sure.
beach. And so those cabinets, you walk into a cabinet store in Los Angeles, $30,000 just to buy the
Wow.
cabinet.
Wow.
Not how much I spent. Bought them. We get them. They're solid wood, and I have them manufactured on site and put in. I did the whole kitchen for like $7,000, including the beautiful quartz countertops, the sinks, the fixtures, and everything. And when I can lay that out, people like they literally just flip out. So I don't
Yeah.
want to quote prices, but again, the same thing on the bathroom. Do we have to do the tile over? Is there tile? Like some of the tile, like is it linoleum? I don't need to spend the money removing that. So
Yeah.
we can very easily. I do a lot of vinyl plank or engineered hardwood. We go right in the bathrooms now. So remove all of like the Schluter strips and all the transitions. So there's like not a trip hazard. And we take that waterproof stuff and go right to the tub. And everyone's like, you're going to put the same floor in my kitchen that's in the bathroom? Yeah, because I could dump a bucket of water and it's completely waterproof. And we
Yeah.
don't have to reseal the grout. It's not going to crack. And so we just do little modifications and I can lay out that presentation. So kitchens, exterior curb appeal, bathrooms is a big thing. And then the fourth thing I love to do is change every outlet, super cheap, but get them to a GFCI or get them to a modern, square pronged. Like those are I can buy them in bulk for
Yeah.
$10. And I just, I usually do 30 to 40 outlets in every house. That $800 that we spend on that will make a huge difference with
Yeah.
the new plates and everything, and then all new lights. And usually to light an entire like 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom house, I can do it for $1,000 either at Amazon, Home Depot, Lowe's, or like a Lamps Plus, do a combination. And we try to get something that's of, trend, that's quality, it's going to last. I read a lot of reviews and I use a lot of the same products over and over because I have experienced them. We don't like bulb burnout. I replace a lot of lights with LEDs. They're going to last 17 years. Can you imagine never
Wow.
having to change an LED for 17 years?
Yeah, we use
So
them now for that reason. I don't even know if you can get regular light bulbs or what we used to
you
buy
can get
them.
incandescents, but they're expensive. And
Incandescent,
you
thank
have
you.
to have one of those changers that like up in the ceiling. So we swap those out and they are expensive. They're $150 each, but for that investment, that few $1,000s you're going to spend on your whole entire house, whoever is buying it, or if you're going to buy that, you don't have to worry about it. For 17 years, you can have those lights on for something like 8 hours a day, and those lights are not going to go out. It's absolutely incredible and actually not bad for the environment as well.
And I love that you're looking at the psychological. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I've actually had 5 homes I've bought and sold. And I think that the little things, and a lot of consumers don't recognize how many of the little things actually affect them. And that so much of real estate is psychological. And that doesn't mean to deceive. That just means to enhance so that they can see themselves, right? And I love that you consider that and also give them something they can work with because not everybody has vision, but not everybody wants to have something simple. But at least they know they have somewhere to start from. That's amazing. And so as a result, you're an agent, you're a stager slash construction. I'm not sure how do you put the different things you do?
No, I won't call myself a stager. I actually hire my stagers out, and I actually usually hire a designer who's a stager. So instead of hiring a regular real estate stager who just buys and brings in cheap furniture that they're getting from a myriad of places like IKEA and all over, I hire somebody who pulls quality products. The stuff is so great that I've had several clients want to buy all of the furniture. So when you get a designer, she works with several other companies and she will for the house pick what's best. And so I always say I want to look. Like if I'm in a craftsman, I'm not going to put super modern furniture. It doesn't work. We got to either put in like mid-century furniture or something of trend. And if I have a super high-end condo, high rise, I'm not going to put in, like antique furniture or anything that's like antiqued or wood or anything like that. We have to like up it. So I have choices and I can usually navigate my clients to we have three choices for furniture. Here's the website. Take a look what we've done. Here's houses that have actually done. Which look do you like? And I'll give them their input. And they're usually like, we trust you to do whatever you want. Here it is. And I give them the prices.
Yeah.
And we come in and I hand pick things. Like this last house I just sold, there was a granite, I'm sorry, red marble bar. Weird, but it
Wow.
worked. We were going to pull it out because it wasn't super attractive. My seller is listening to this, me. I felt that way, but I kept it for you. And we were able to stage and design around that. So we pulled the furniture, we made that bar cool, like very like, what was I going to say?
Hipster, trendy.
Yeah, hipster and mid-century mod, and I'm trying to think of the television show about the 60s. Oh, not Modern Men. It'll come to me. Sorry, that was a
Okay.
blank there. But
No worries.
the bar where everybody had a bar in their home with a wet bar and everything. And so
Yeah.
you drank at work and everything. So we made that into something, pulled in furniture to tie that in to make the bar a focus when every other person said, take that out, like get rid of that bar. It's so ugly. We made it work. So I saved that client a lot of money in demo and new materials. And all I did was paint a cabinet. I painted a red cabinet white, added some new fixtures, took out shelves and put beautiful cocktail shakers and bottles of alcohol and wine and things like that. And it just worked. And people actually thought I spent thousands of dollars making that into a bar. Like, did you make that? Where did you get that marble? And things like that. So
Yeah.
just little things like that make a huge difference. The devil is in the details, and that's what
Yes.
people love because they don't want their home to exactly look like anybody else's.
That's
But
right. And the
buyers,
paint, the idea of paint being so inexpensive and it makes such a huge
yeah,
difference. And you're
it's
enhancing, is what I'm hearing is you're really enhancing what's there and
yes.
making the home what it should be, coordinating the different styles with what the home is. I feel like you're a house advocate.
I am. I'm a house advocate. I'm a house hacker. I call myself a designer, a developer. I'm also like a visionary, like and an implementer at the same time. So I
Yeah.
can see something like a blank slate. I have a lot of people walk in the door. The buyers can't see it. My clients can't see it. And I can close my eyes and be like, if I do X, Y is going to happen. And if I can put that to them, I do a lot of renderings. I work with an outside company. I will show them like, well, if we did this, if we took down this wall and did this, and this is what your kitchen looked like. And if they're able to see that visual representation, they honestly flip out.
Yes.
So when I say a visionary, I mean, again, I feel like I can see magic in the future and I can make it happen for pennies on the dollar. So I am an agent, I am a designer, I'm a developer, I'm a visionary, and I'm also a professional problem solver. That's probably my biggest, that's what my business card needs to say is professional problem solver and real estate therapist. Because
1000%. That is, I think we should all have that title, but you keep that one because it's so good. And it's so true because I think that, again, so important to talk to agents and to highlight what they do. I'm sure, every agent out there who's watching knows what it's like to have to go in the day before a closing and sweep or vacuum or do anything. Or certainly when you get into the home to start working on what we might call editing, bringing it into a situation where it doesn't show the owners as much, but it shows what it could be. So I just love that. And it's such a good example of how we are way more than door openers. right?
Yeah, yes, and we get ripped on all the time for making the big bucks. But what people don't realize is if you actually took the hours that we spent and the amount of time I spend with my clients and all the trips I go to the store shopping to pick out materials or all the houses that we show to clients, it ends up not being that much money. But what I am committed to with my clients is providing them with a service that they don't want to do. They don't know how to do and that is done for them. It's like a one and done where literally they're known that they are taken care of. And when we get to the end, I try to keep them away, especially when I'm doing like a remodel for them. I try to keep them away,
For the
maybe
big
send some
reveal.
pictures. Yeah, and do a big reveal. And I usually film the whole thing. The last time I did that, the client walked in, his jaw hit the floor. He sat on the couch and he looked at the ocean and a little tear formed in his eye. His kids were there and reached into his pocket and he grabbed a measuring tape. He started walking around his home, measuring things like, could we still live here?
Oh,
He
that's so
liked it
sweet.
so much. He said, I always wanted to do this and I could never see it like this. He hugged me, said, you did a wonderful job. I'm so happy. And literally, there was a moment where he was thinking about, could we keep this as like a pied a terre, as like a beach house?
Yeah.
And he was very proud. And we literally, he saw it. We had an open house on Saturday, open house on Sunday. Buyer walked into the open house, and we were in escrow on Monday morning, and we closed in 14 days. So it was just like everything that I said. Again, the integrity came to fruition, and I've been lucky and blessed that I can do that because I know what people want. And I also priced it properly to get people in the door. We are not in that market right now in November of 20, well, it's October right now, but
Yeah.
November of
Neither are
20.
we. Neither are
We're
we.
not in that market where people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars over. We were in that market like 2 years ago, but now if you don't hit that price right, your house is going to sit on the market. So when, I asked why, after meeting with 5 agents, did you choose me, us? He said, you're the only one who was truthful with me. You gave me options. You gave me a clear plan. You were so confident. You walked in the door and without making me feel terrible, you were able to show me something and you have the proof in your pudding. You had referrals. You have all these wonderful recommendations. And I literally like believed you. And here we are, 18 days from the day we signed the listing till we closed that you just made me an extra $250,000 by spending 42 grand. And he was so happy, like hugged, tears, like
Of
that's,
course.
that's why I wake up every day. That's my why.
Yeah.
That
I,
makes me
I was
feel
just going to ask you, like, what is your favorite part of this? But we're reading it, right?
That's my favorite part because it's life changing. So I said to him, what are you going to do with this money? And he said, I'm going to buy another property. What else are you going to do with the rest of the money? I'm going to, my kids' school costs $40,000 a year each. That's how much private school costs in Los Angeles. He's got two of them. So I'm going to use that money for them. So when you realize that I can solve problems, not only at your home, but to go a step further in life. He's going to get another property, which is going to make him money. He's going to go into a development deal. I'm fixing up a new house for him right now that he already purchased since we closed. And he's going to keep it for 3 years and going to demo it. So we're doing real lipstick on a pig. I'm doing a $30,000 gut job, little renovation to get some renters in there. Keep it for 3 years while he gets the plans from the city. And he's going to demolish that project and he's going to build 8 units to create more affordable housing next to his business. And he is going to give my guys, my construction people, and me the opportunity to help make that come to fruition in 3 years.
That's amazing. Besides business begetting business, it's also, I love that you're enhancing the future for people. It's not one and done. And you're looking at what their life is going to be and how you can help them with it. You had a couple of stories when we were talking about people whose lives they didn't expect to go the way they did until you were helping them. That's one of them. Did you have any others that you'd like to share?
Um, it's like I could tell you a dozen of these stories, but another one of them is I did this house and they were a referral from their best friends who lived down the street. I had sold them their house the year prior. They had already purchased a house through a different agent and had a terrible experience. And they
Hmm.
were like, look, I think our house needs some love. And they're like, you should call Rebecca. So I came over and they were in the position, two working mom and dad with two children. And won't say struggling at all. I'm just normal, middle class people that had bought a house for inexpensive and now it's worth more money. They had met with 5 other agents, and all those agents told them that their house was worth about $1 million. And I go over there and it's like, absolutely, Zillow Redfin, everybody tells me your house is worth $1 million, but they can't see on the inside. I go,
Mhm.
I know your house is worth so much more. How do you know? Because I know the demand. I'm with buyers and what they're looking for, and people will overpay for something they want. It's like the mentality about the iPhone. We all have them. Most people do.
Yeah.
If you don't have an iPhone and you're without it, you're like, what did I ever do before this? Literally, if they told me this phone was going to cost $3,000, I would pay for
You
it
would
because
buy it. Exactly.
it is irreplaceable. And so when somebody gets what they want, they will overpay. So I said, look, I know I can do your home. Your home needs a lot of love, not a little. But I was able to do fun things like redo the kitchen without taking out the cabinets, put new countertops on, paint the cabinets, paint the island a different color, put like uniform floor, and the bathrooms are done. Did a whole outside landscaping thing, wrapped the columns in wood, put really nice numbers and details in mailboxes, got rid of all the landscaping, put new flowers and some trees, worked on the trellis, put all new lighting, did all of that for under $50,000.
Wow.
I listed that house for $1,175,000. So about 1,070,000 or 175,000 more than every other agent said it was worth. I closed that house at 1,425,000.
Wow. That's amazing.
You do that math, and I made them an extra about 400 grand. And when this happened, this is where I feel my life changed. They came to me and said in tears, I don't see husbands cry a lot, and I don't see wives cry a lot unless it's about their husbands or their children, said to me, we didn't know how. We have great jobs, but we're terrible at saving money. We have this asset. We already bought the other one. We needed to sell this one in order to get a better mortgage, but we didn't know how the heck we were going to pay for our kids' college. They took this $400,000. Their kids were in junior high and ninth grade when I sold them the house. They invested it, and that extra 400 grand just paid for both of their children's college because now one is graduated from college and one's in college, and they never had to get a loan. The kids don't have to carry a loan for the next 30 years. We talk, we call, we send each other holiday cards, birthday. I see them at events, we hug, and they always are so grateful that that extra money was life changing. And they have recommended and referred me to, I can't even tell you how many people who said, this woman made all of the difference. And I get choked up just thinking about it because that's literally why I get up. Because I'm working on trying to pay for my kids, high school and in college. She's 7, but it's going to cost me $1 million to send her to college in 10 years. If I want her to go to a really nice school, that's what my financial planner told me. And so what did I do? I bought her a house so that I could sell it if I had to in order to pay for college. But a lot of people don't have that luxury.
No.
So if I could literally tell them, it's like winning the lottery. And you don't get to tell people they win the lottery all the time. But I've been able to hit the repeat button, Kat, over and over and over
Amazing.
again. And I have dozens of heartwarming, beautiful stories that I was able to net people all this extra money. And for that, they just keep sending me business. And my clients, they're not my clients for a home. They are my clients for life. They call me for the plumber. They call me for, putting up a light fixture, whatever they need. I am the one that gets them that person. And we have this relationship. And I keep reminding them, I'm not looking for anything from it. But if they know of anybody who is buying or selling, like, remember to think of me. And that's all that I have to do. I don't advertise. I don't do Facebook ads. I don't do anything. People just pick up the phone and call me. And because I stay in touch with these people and I offer them something of value for life. And a
I
lot of those
appreciate that because you're sharing with young, especially if they're young agents watching this, they have to understand that it's a relationship business that's driven by good works. And you are absolutely an embodiment of that. And that is amazing. I love the energy that you bring to it. And I'm actually really curious because you are going great guns. You're doing beautifully. You're really making changes and differences in lives. What's next for you, Rebecca?
Yeah, so it's really crazy. I cannot believe that I'm here right now. I'm about to turn 50. I don't usually say that, in public, but I feel like I've been working for 30 years. I've never not worked. I come from this Midwest mentality where I was mowing lawns and shoveling snow and babysitting, and I had $5,000 in my bank account before going to high school. So anytime I wanted something, I had the money to buy it. I did not have to ask mom for the money for a boom box or whatever I wanted. I just basically,
Name an 80s item.
yeah, a boombox. I had the white like Casio ones with a strap and all of that, or anything I wanted. I just was able to pay for it myself. And then I had money going to high school, going to college. And when I was in college, I was the cool kid who was able to buy people drinks and take them. I had friends in college, Kat, that didn't have money to buy clothes.
Oh,
And that's like not my world. And I remember taking them to the local, it was Dayton Hudson's, Marshall Field's, now Macy's, and buying my sorority sisters and friends clothes, and how that made me feel to like have them dress and show up how beautiful they were on the inside, on the outside. And my mom was this philanthropic queen, and I think I get that from her. So I bring that into my life now. And here I am about to turn 50 in 2025. And I feel like I have a very short time left in work, and I don't want to work that long. So what's next? So not only do I have the real estate company, and not only do I have the remodeling, construction, flipping arm of Rebecca, but I also have a third business, which came out of a necessity of people coming to me with another problem. And it was a problem I was able to solve. And it's the problem of we don't want to be in our house anymore. We want something different, or we don't want to live in Los Angeles. So they're moving and come to me. And out of integrity, I've said, not the right time to sell. Or you're not going to make the money that you want right now. You should hold on to your property. So if they're going to hold on to it, what do we do with it? So the next basic thing is renting it. So I do a lot of rentals, but what I've targeted and pivoted to is short-term and mid-term rentals, and helping my clients maximize the amount of money they could make by getting a full-time renter. Give you a quick example. I'm doing a project right now where the condo, it's a condo, 2 bedroom, 2 bath. Um, they can't get very much money for it. There's a 30-day short-term, mid-term restriction at the HOA. And so if they were to rent it out, full time for a year, they'd probably get $3,000 a month. I was able to analyze that property and said, well, what if I could turn it into a midterm and make you an extra 2 grand a month? Bottom line, you're bringing home an extra $24,000 a month. How would that make you feel? And they're like, awesome. So great. So I took the listing, and it was an old condo, and it was not moving. So I said, I got to do something to it. The sellers did not want to pay for it, the owners. So I said, let me do it. But for that, please let me remodel your entire property, and I want you to sign a 2-year lease. This is how much money you're expecting, and I am going to take a percentage of the profit, and I'm going to manage everything. And for that, you are going to net so much more money. And the believability, the proof was in the pudding. It was there. And now I have 4 properties, about to have a 5th. And the cool thing is, it's not just in Los Angeles. We have a lot of restrictions here. So we have a lot of STR, STVR, short-term vacation rental restrictions. I can do this anywhere in the country. So we're niching into markets. We're going to go into Michigan. We're going to go into New York. We're going into Colorado. And I'll have a conglomerate of mostly single family houses where I'm taking people's property. And the bottom line is, if they're netting 60 grand a year, I'm going to try to double that for them
wow.
by tweaking a few things, doing dynamic pricing where we can get people in, managing it, getting the cleaners, doing everything they don't want to do. And we've all heard about the companies that are doing it. Vacasa, Evolve, they charge 35%, and they don't do any of that extra stuff. They throw your stuff up on Airbnb and throw it up on Vrbo and do a direct booking site, but they don't do anything else. I come in and I'm going to hold their hand, and at the 15th of every month, write them a check for more money than they've ever seen on that property, which allows them to keep it. They can go back and visit it if they want to. They
Sure.
can stay in it if they want to. They can pimp it out to their friends and family if they want to. And
Still
the
an
bottom line
asset.
is, it's an asset, and it's not a huge moneymaker for me, but what it is a small amount of money over a large percentage of properties nationwide
Yeah.
that It's going to be a lot of doors for me, making a little bit of money, but it's passive income because I have the systems and the models and the company developed. I have a whole team of people that run it. And I have three assistants. I have a business partner. The company is amazing and it's literally like life changing. And so that was just like the natural progression. And I'm doing it in LA, but mostly midterm because of the short-term rental restrictions. But
Sure.
I can do it anywhere. And now my clients and my friends and family and other agents like you, if you know of somebody in New Jersey who's not doing well at a short-term rental, you could literally call me up and say, Rebecca, talk to my clients. I sold them this house. They're only getting 3 grand. Now you could do the same thing, but Kat, it's a lot of work. And I already
It
have
is a lot of
the
work.
infrastructure in place. And I'm going to only be taking this much money, but I'm going to be netting your clients this much money. You look like the hero. I look like the hero, and everybody is happy. And then one day, maybe after 5 years of doing this, they don't want the property anymore. And guess what? You
You're going to
recommended
be the
me.
one to sell
Uh, well,
it.
no, I don't live in New Jersey. You're
Oh,
going to be the
so
one to sell it.
I'm going to sell it for you.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah,
And so that's the cool part. And there's referrals going back and forth, but it's this
exactly.
network. And now I have these hundreds and hundreds of agents that I work for that are literally going to be helping me build this business. And, by the end of my 18-month mark, I should have probably 80 to 100 doors and a
Amazing.
monthly revenue getting, this much money. So that's my new project. It's called Home State Homes. And it's because I'm from Michigan and I feel like the state of being home is what everybody wants. And when you travel to a short-term, midterm rental, you want to make it feel like at home. And the question that gets answered is, why would you book a short-term, midterm rental at a home rather than going to a hotel? And if you're in the
The
answer to
answer is
that
yes.
question
Yeah.
is if you have a family, if you have children, grandparents, anybody, it's going to cost you, 3 hotel rooms. I just did it this weekend in Michigan. We had family come in for an unfortunate funeral, and they had to get 3 hotel rooms, and it cost them, 3 times for a little tiny room with 2 beds where they were touching each other, no kitchen, no outdoor space, no stuff for the kids, nothing fun. So we can do the same thing for probably half the price and give people that space and that community, that gathering, the hot tub, the communal table where they could all have, if I was coming to New Jersey, my friend, I do have friends in New Jersey, and I wanted to have them all over for dinner. I have a table for 10 people and they all could come. You wouldn't have that at a hotel. You'd end up
No,
spending, $1,000 on dinner, 1,500, 2,000 in New York or New Jersey for dinner for 15 people.
absolutely. Absolutely. No, I love it because it also shows how we can use housing to the advantage of the people and what they need. So everybody says, oh, there's a housing crisis, but you're making it very easy for people to see that there are ways to enhance what's there, make it answer the questions of what people need. You've absolutely done what every entrepreneur does, and that is to see a niche and then fill it. So that is amazing. Listen, I know we're getting to the end of our time. This is so exciting. I'm just blown away, and I am so grateful for the time. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Well, many ways. I feel like Instagram, it's all about Instagram right now. So that's my favorite place because it's where I'm posting most of my videos. My contact info is on there. My handle, I was hacked because
Oh,
of
no.
getting so popular over a period of time. So they took away my name, but that's okay because I am not my name. So I did a little play on words, and my Instagram handle is House of in my last name. So it's House of Sekulich, and you can put that in your show notes or whatever. But
Yes,
it's
we
really
will.
easy. It's fun, and I have a whole bunch of followers from some viral videos of my kid going crazy. But that's the best place. I'm also, you just Google my name. I have a YouTube channel that has all my videos. I have a website. I have my Compass website, and I have homestatehomes.com, which is the short-term rental arm. But I love people who message me, DM me. I welcome calls and texts. Again, just trying to solve problems and help people, and I have people everywhere to do it. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and I'm here even just to ask questions. People ask me questions. Oh, I'm on TikTok as well. People ask me questions. I answer all those questions. I mean, I had a video have 2.5 million views, and I'm answering dozens and hundreds of questions, and people are so grateful. Like, thanks for answering me. Like, that's so cool. And sometimes you answer the same question 100 times if they would just scroll the comments, but that's not, we're in a scrolling age right now. So if they have a problem, I love when people text me because it just gets me on a phone call with them. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, I can solve that problem. You don't need me. or I can get you to the person you need to get to. And I just find it fascinating when somebody asks me for something and they always like, I should have asked Rebecca. I should have asked Rebecca, because they'll hire somebody to do something and it won't be the right person. So I have these people vetted, and they've all done work for me personally. So like, especially in Los Angeles or the state of California. If it's someplace else, it's a little bit more difficult, but
Sure.
I still have teams. But that's how you find me. I would love to hear from anybody.
I love it. Absolutely. And you know what? I think it really highlights how people need more information about real estate. Another great reason why I love to be involved in podcasts, because we really need to share what can be done. And there are lots of questions. It's a complicated process and people need help with it. And to know that you're out there is fantastic. So I will refer in Los Angeles, no doubt. No doubt. Well, listen, this has been another great episode of the Icons Real Estate Podcast. I'd like to thank my guest, Rebecca Sekulich. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thank you,
And
Kat.
if you enjoyed this episode, please like and share it with your friends, family, and colleagues. From our studio to your success, I'm Kat Timpson. Thanks for being with us.